Hi. I'm just going to tell you my first name. My first name's Rob. I'm not going to go into my last name. What I want to discuss with you is the state of law enforcement today's day and age, and the problems that we face as citizens and the problems that they face as officers. This is in no means a direct criticism of how they do their jobs. I think they do their jobs fine, most of them. But there are those that, well, to be quite honest, above and beyond what they need to be doing to enforce the law. And I think there's several reasons for this. Number one, in the state of California, police officers are guided by an organization called the Police Officer Standards of Training, or POST for short. That's the acronym for it. POST is basically the directive that gives departments the hiring guidelines and training, testing, and other criteria should be when they are hiring. I worked in law enforcement for over 35 years. I'm now retired, and I speak from experience. I worked in numerous fields in law enforcement. I'm not going to go into all the different details and the jobs that I worked, but I can tell you one thing. Some of the things that I've seen lately are just despicable. I think there's a few reasons why this is occurring. And I'm going to make this a real brief video. I'm not going to make this a long video, because I'm sure everybody has their opinions, and this is just my opinion. Number one, and probably the most concerning thing, is the standards have been lowered. Departments are having a hard time getting officers, and quality officers at that. No one wants to be a cop these days. Look at the ridicule, the criticism, and all the other judgment calls they have to go through on a daily basis. It certainly wasn't like that when I was an officer. For good or bad, we got the job done, and we got the job done well. And we didn't face the criticism that we face now. Now, everything's racial related. If you're a white cop, you're doing this wrong. If you're a black cop, it doesn't really matter the race. Someone's going to throw the race card in there on you. Then we have the sovereign citizen movement. That wasn't even a thing when I was working for the department. That's a new thing. And supervisor has to be called out. What a waste of time that is. You go through a sovereign citizen call. I've watched many of them on YouTube, and here you are taking up all this time when those officers could be doing other things on the streets, which are much more important than dealing with some hammerhead that doesn't know the law and thinks that he's exempt because he's some kind of Moorish citizen or sovereign citizen or whatever you want to call it. I don't know who's responsible for that literature that they're spewing out there, but you're wrong. Secondly, and I think pretty importantly, I was also a vet in the military. Of course, I was in during the 80s and the 70s, and I can tell you that if we got hit with an IED or any kind of explosive device, chances were you weren't going to survive that. Nowadays, they do survive it. And these poor vets, their heads get rattled up and jumbled up in their brain buckets, their skull. And things just aren't right. And, of course, paramilitary organization that police are, they hire them. They hire them whenever they really probably should not be, because they're suffering from some major PTSD and they need help. And they snap very easily. And I think that attributes to a lot of problems. Another thing I see, which just sickens me, is, and something that we didn't do, officers shooting at suspects through their windshield while they're driving. What is going on with that? I mean, you're shooting out of your vehicle with an M16 or AR-15 or whatever it is you're carrying in there, and you're shooting out of your main window at a moving target. God forbid you hit a bystander, and that will happen one day. I don't know if it's happened yet, but it will happen. It's only a matter of time. The other thing that I've noticed is pursuit policies. You know, if you have a suspect out there and you know where he lives and you know where areas he's going to be going to, why pursue him and jeopardize other citizens on the roadway when you really don't have to? I've seen so many accidents where innocent people are killed because an officer is just too tenacious and wants to get that pursuit in and can't stop the endorphins and the adrenaline rush and ends up killing an innocent civilian in the process. I can understand it if it's a substance with a weapon or murder or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your local Walmart guy that's come in there and stole a bunch of property, and all of a sudden now you're in a hot pursuit to try to get that person. The department I worked had a no pursuit policy, and I think it was a pretty good policy. We did not pursue suspects because we didn't want to jeopardize the citizens for the city that I worked in, and that's a good policy. Another thing that I've noticed, especially in the city of San Francisco, is they've hired what's called ambassadors. And these ambassadors wear a windbreaker that says police. They carry a radio. They don't carry a weapon. They get paid about $80 an hour. All of them are retired, and they're making huge money for doing absolutely nothing. Some of them, from what I understand, even turn their head when something's going on because they don't care. They're making all that money, but they don't care. They just want to collect that paycheck, go home, and do whatever for improvements they need to do on their house, and that's a shame. I think that's despicable when the crime rate in San Francisco is out of control. And I personally know some of those people that are doing those programs, and I personally know what they've told me. Not my job. I just call it on the radio and have a regular show up. And you regulars, you should be offended that you've got a fellow officer, and I don't care if he's retired or not, that's making you, or calling you on the radio and having you do a job that, I'm not saying he should be doing it, but he should be engaged in a conversation with that person or something. I don't know the whole program. I don't know why they don't carry weapons. I don't know why they don't have any reporting capabilities, and I don't know why they don't do any written reports. But I'll tell you what, that's a shitty program. I got many other gripes and complaints, and I think a lot of it could be solved. Defunding the police departments, what an asinine idea that is. Whoever started that, I think it was Seattle, Portland, whatever. If things don't change, I'm afraid it's just going to get worse. And you know what's going to happen? The citizens of different states are going to have to take care of themselves. And that's all there is to it. Because local authorities are not going to be capable of doing that for whatever reasons. Mainly the ones I've listed above. That's just my own 2 cents. And I'm sure you all want to pipe in and tell me that I'm wrong. And that's fine. I don't really care. I'm just telling you the way I see it. Another thing, the California Highway Patrol. I just noticed recently now they're doing retail crime. Wow. I thought they were highway cops, and now they're being assigned to do retail crime and retail theft. That should tell you how out of control the state of California has become when you have the California Highway Patrol now doing retail theft. That's not their job. That's the job of the city. Are the cities just not wanting to do the job? Are the cities' hands tied because of city politicians? I wish I was younger and I could run for office or something and try to make some changes. But there are you out there that can make changes, and make those changes. Be different. Go out there and make a difference. Don't just go for the hey, this is the way it's going to be. I can't do anything about it. Because yes, you can. And you can make a difference. Anyway, be safe out there. God bless you for doing a great job. And I want to especially extend my thanks to one department that I think is outstanding throughout the Bay Area. Has the best sheriff ever. Sheriff Eugene Livingston, Contra Costa County Sheriff's Department. You guys are the best, I think, in the state of California. Keep up the outstanding work, and thank you very much for protecting our county. Thank you again, and God bless.